Okay, all right. Well, let's get started. Welcome to a virtual meeting with the Flood Control District. I am Robert Fricke with the communications team, and this is our virtual community engagement meeting about the Kluge Stormwater Detention Basin Phase 3 project. Our purpose for today is to share information about the project and hear your thoughts. Your voice matters, and we appreciate you being here. Before we dive in, we have a pre-recorded message from Harris County Precinct 3 Commissioner Tom Ramsey.
Howdy, Tom Ramsey here, your Precinct 3 County Commissioner. I'm happy to welcome you this evening to learn more about the project to reduce flooding throughout this community. This is a part of the 2018 flood control bond program that you voted for, and as your county commissioner, I look forward to its completion. This will make a significant difference in the area, and I can't wait to see that equipment moving and construction proceeding. That is all encouraging. Once completed, my office will continue to work with flood control to maintain the area because we all know a flood reduction project is only as good as its long-term maintenance. This is truly an investment in your neighborhood, and like you, I look forward to seeing it through. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner Ramsey. So here's what we'll cover during today's meeting. We'll start with a brief presentation about who we are and what we do. Then we'll give an overview of the project, including key details on the recommended design, timeline, and next steps. We will follow that by opening the floor up for questions. Please note the chat feature is disabled throughout the meeting. Instead, we are using the Q&A feature. And you may use the Q&A feature to drop in your questions or feedback at any time. You do not have to wait until the Q&A session. Now, I will hand things off to Rob Lazaro with our communications team, who will share information about the Flood Control District. Rob, over to you.
Thank you, Robert, and a big thanks to everyone here with us tonight. I want to start by sharing a bit about the Flood Control District and the important work that we do. Overseeing one of the most comprehensive and complex flood management systems in the nation, the Harris County Flood Control District serves one of the largest, most populated, and most flood-prone places in the United States, Harris County, Texas, a county shaped by water. Our mission is to plan, implement, and maintain flood risk reduction projects guided by community and natural values. It's complex work that takes time, coordination, and care. And we are laser focused on advancing flood risk reduction and maintenance efforts that deliver lasting benefits across the county. By moving projects efficiently from planning to construction, the Flood Control District works tirelessly to strengthen flood resilience for today and the future. We were established by the Texas legislature in 1937 after devastating back-to-back floods hit Houston area. Today, we are governed by the Harris County Commissioners Court. For nearly 90 years, we've invested billions of dollars in flood risk reduction projects throughout Harris County, creating real change, improving quality of life, and building a more resilient future. And how do we get all this important flood mitigation work done? We do it through a variety of funding sources, including the Flood Control District's dedicated property tax, the 2018 bond program, and a wide range of federal, state, and local partnerships. Our drainage infrastructure is extensive. Not only do we maintain and manage hundreds of stormwater detention basins, but we also maintain more miles of channels than some states have highways. In fact, our network includes 2,500 miles of channels, which is the distance from New York to California. This expansive channel system moves stormwater out to Galveston Bay. During heavy rain events, these channels may start to reach capacity. That's when the stormwater detention basins we've built throughout the county step in and temporarily hold that stormwater, which helps reduce the risk of flooding. Most people are aware that Harris County is prone to flooding. Not only do we have extreme rainfall events like tropical storms and hurricanes, but our land is flat, which means stormwater often moves slowly when making its way to bayous and channels. And then to make things even trickier, Soils across the county are mostly clay and don't absorb stormwater very well. So stormwater collects on the ground, creating a pooling effect, which increases the risk of flooding. An interesting fact and something important to note is that some streets in Harris County are intended to temporarily hold stormwater before conveying it to our channels and bayous, which is why it's critical to adhere to safety warnings and stay off the roads during heavy storm events. Now let's talk a little bit more about stormwater, where it goes, and who's in charge of it at various points in its journey. From falling from the clouds to making its way to Galveston Bay, there's not just one person or entity solely in charge. While the flood control district plays a critical role in reducing flood risk, we're part of a much larger team effort. When rain falls near or on your home, neighborhoods across the county, storm sewers and roadside ditches collect stormwater and move it away from homes and streets. Those drainage systems are typically managed by either the Office of the County Engineer, a municipal utility district, or a city, like City of Houston. Stormwater then makes its way to the larger bayous and channels, which are typically managed by the flood control district, before finally flowing into Galveston Bay. Now, with that in mind, it's also important to know that Harris County is comprised of a vast system of bayous, tributaries, and other waterways that make up the 23 unique watersheds. And what is a watershed exactly? Watersheds are designated geographic areas where all the stormwater in a region ultimately drain to the same bayou or body of water. The project we're talking about tonight is located in Little Cypress Creek in northwest Harris County. The watershed is largely rural, but fast developing with more than 25,000 residents, covering about 52 square miles. Now that we've shared some key background information, we'll get to some important details about the project. As we go through the project details, feel free to drop questions and comments into the Q&A feature. And with that, I'll hand it over to Melissa Meyer, a Deputy Program Director at Flood Control District, to share more about Phase 3 of the Kluge Stormwater Detention Basin project. Melissa, over to you.
Thanks, Rob. First, let's talk about the goal of this project and what we aim to accomplish. We understand the Little Cypress Creek watershed has a history of flooding during heavy rainfall events. To identify opportunities to help reduce the risk of flooding, the Flood Control District conducted a study known as the Little Cypress Creek Watershed Master Drainage Plan. This study recommended potential drainage projects for the area, including the one we are discussing this evening, the Kluge Stormwater Detention Basin Phase 3. The goal for this phase is to help reduce the risk of flooding by creating additional stormwater storage capacity within the existing Kluge Stormwater Detention Basin. Many of you are probably familiar with the area and the existing Kluge Stormwater Detention Basin. This project is located just northeast of Little Cypress Creek between Kluge Road and Longwood Trace Drive. The Kluge Stormwater Detention Basin currently consists of two compartments that were completed in 2017 as part of Phase 1. Phase 2, which was completed in 2023, was the acquisition of property for future phases. And Phase 3, shown on the map in gold, is expanding the overall stormwater detention basin's footprint and will be constructed on the former Longwood Golf Course that is now owned by the Flood Control District. Before we talk about the design of this project, let's take a moment to further explain just how stormwater detention basins work to help with flood risk reduction. When there's heavy rainfall, water levels in our channels start to rise. And when a channel reaches its carrying capacity, stormwater can overflow into a detention basin through a structure typically known as a weir. Weirs are built across a channel specifically to help direct the flow of stormwater. While channel conveyance improvements help to move stormwater more efficiently out of an area, stormwater detention basins hold the stormwater, but only temporarily. We strategically construct stormwater detention basins where they will intercept excess stormwater to help keep it from overwhelming the channels. And once water levels in the channel go down, the stormwater stored in the detention basin flows by gravity through pipes back into the channel and eventually out to Galveston Bay. The Flood Control District is a no adverse impact agency. We do not allow our projects to reduce flooding risks for one area while increasing risks somewhere else. And that's why stormwater detention basins are often built before or at the same time as channel conveyance improvements to prevent unintended impacts elsewhere. So we construct a stormwater detention basin to store excess stormwater. Then once the channel starts to recede, the stormwater makes its way out of the detention basin and back to the channel. All stormwater detention basins essentially serve the same purpose, temporary storage of excess stormwater, but they can be designed differently. Some are built as one large compartment, like the example shown here, while others are made up of several compartments that function together as one stormwater detention basin. The individual compartments can also be a mix of wet bottom or dry bottom. Wet bottom compartments always have a permanent pool of water with extra capacity for storing stormwater during heavy rain. And dry bottom compartments are typically lined with grass and designed to drain completely between rain events. The Kluge Stormwater Detention Basin currently has a dry bottom and a wet bottom compartment. For this project, the third compartment is designed to be a wet bottom basin. And this brings us to where we are today. While every project is unique, they all follow a similar project life cycle, and there are certain stages we expect to reach along the way. Right now, we're approaching the end of the design stage. In this stage, the design team developed detailed specifications, conducted environmental assessments, and fine-tuned cost estimates to prepare to move into the next stage, which is construction. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the project details. This design is not only feasible, but also cost-effective to construct while reducing environmental impacts and maximizing flood risk reduction benefits. This project minimizes or potentially eliminates any impacts on threatened and endangered species. It allows for a better project schedule, and it provides flexibility for future expansion of the stormwater detention basin. The total cost for the project is approximately $26.4 million, and it will provide an additional 210 acre-feet of stormwater storage. That's adding roughly 68.4 million gallons of storage. To put that into perspective, that's equal to approximately 210 football fields covered in 1 foot of water. Here's a few other ways to think about storage capacity. 1 acre-foot is equivalent to about 16 average-sized swimming pools, 50 tanker trucks, or 4,000 bathtubs filled with water. This means that the anticipated capacity of the Phase 3 compartment equals about 3,360 swimming pools, 10,500 tanker trucks, or more than 840,000 bathtubs. By temporarily storing stormwater, detention basins help decrease the amount of stormwater flowing into nearby channels, reducing the risk of channels overtopping their banks. The additional storage volume provided by this project will reduce water surface elevations near the project limits by nearly 1.5 inches during a 100-year storm event using the Atlas 14 rainfall data. Atlas 14 is a nationwide rainfall study that helps us understand how much rain is likely to fall during different types of storms, from everyday rainstorms to rare extreme events. It's based on decades of actual rainfall records and provides engineers the data they need to design flood risk reduction projects. When we say water surface elevations decreased, we mean that a particular storm event will cause Little Cypress Creek to rise to a specific level today before this project occurs. But once this project is complete, that same specific storm event would produce a water level in Little Cypress Creek that's lower than before. And for this project, it will be nearly 1.5 inches lower. According to the National Objectives, which establishes the qualifying criteria for federally funded projects, the benefit area identified for this project is estimated to reach nearly 12,000 people who either live near and/or commute through the area. All of those individuals, approximately 1,700, live in low to moderate income areas. Overall, the Kluge Stormwater Detention Basin, with all three compartments, is estimated to provide a total of 1,285 acre-feet of stormwater storage to help reduce the risk of flooding in the area. That's about 419 million gallons of stormwater storage. Throughout the design process for Phase 3, we have identified a few items in the project area that require additional consideration and community coordination. We know Longwood residents frequently use the existing paved paths for recreation, and Longwood Trace Drive serves as a main access point into the neighborhood and the golf club at Longwood. During construction, the pedestrian and golf cart sidewalk along Longwood Trace, including the tunnel under Longwood Trace, will remain open and accessible to residents. However, the former golf cart path within the project area, which is shown by the purple dashed line on the map, will be removed. While the flood control district does not construct or maintain recreational amenities because it falls outside of our primary focus to plan, implement, and maintain projects that reduce the risk of flooding, we welcome the opportunity to work with other agencies to add amenities, such as parks and trails, around our infrastructure after construction is complete. Amenities must not interfere with the operation or maintenance of the infrastructure and must be maintained by the sponsoring agency or organization. We know that trees are very important to the community, and they also play a key role in reducing flood risks. One reason we selected this design is its smaller footprint, which minimizes the impact to trees. As part of the design process, we conducted a tree survey to identify significant trees within the project area that qualify for preservation. On this slide, you can see the areas of trees we plan to preserve in green. We aim to preserve as many trees along the top of the compartment's bank as possible. However, trees located within the footprint of the base of the compartment and those too close to the excavation area will have to be removed. As part of the design recommendations for Phase 3, we included a 30-foot buffer around the perimeter of the historical cemetery on the northeast corner of the project site. This buffer will help protect the area from any construction impacts. And lastly, there have been some questions about the easement between the compartment's northern perimeter and the homeowner's yard. The Longwood Homeowners Association owns the 50-foot easement, shown here in brown, between private backyards and the Stormwater Detention Basin's northern perimeter. The Flood Control District will not access the easement for any construction activity, and construction fencing will be installed between the easement and the construction zone. Earlier in the presentation, Rob referenced funding sources. Let's dive a little bit deeper into how this third phase of the Kluge Stormwater Detention Basin project is funded. The estimated total cost to see Phase 3 to completion as of today is about $26.4 million. And this project is funded by two sources, the 2018 bond program and a community development block grant. We partnered with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, also known as HUD, to receive funding from its Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program. Disaster recovery funding focuses on projects helping communities with long-term recovery after federally declared disaster, which in this case is Hurricane Harvey. The Texas General Land Office, or the GLO, administers the grant program at the state level for HUD. This means that GLO distributes funds to local, county, and state agencies approved to receive funding for projects benefiting areas directly impacted by Harvey. The Flood Control District has been awarded approximately $322 million for projects meeting the program's requirements. These projects must be completed by February 28, 2027. The Kluge Stormwater Detention Basin Phase 3 project is receiving approximately $24.9 million in CDBG disaster recovery funding. And now that we've talked about the design, benefits, and funding for Phase 3, let's talk about the next steps. In our project lifecycle, the construction stage follows the design stage. As part of our standard practice, the Flood Control District will advertise the project for bids from construction contractors. Once the bids are received and reviewed, the contract can be awarded after receiving approval from Harris County Purchasing. Based on our current timeline, we anticipate construction starting in the third quarter of 2026. And as we get closer to construction, we will share additional updates with the community. In general, residents can anticipate heavy truck traffic and machinery, as well as construction fencing installed around the project site. As we mentioned, cart paths and vegetation located within the project site will be removed. To recap, the next steps for the Kluge Stormwater Detention Basin Phase 3 project include finalizing the design of the wet bottom compartment and advertising the project for bids this quarter. Then we will gear up for construction to start in the third quarter. And if everything progresses according to plan, the project is anticipated to be complete by the second quarter of 2027. We are very mindful and respectful of the deadline for the CDBG grant, and we are doing everything possible to expedite processes where we can to meet this deadline. We are also working very closely with our funding partner and communicating any unexpected challenges so that we continue to move forward with the project. And if you haven't already, please sign up for a mailing list to receive project updates by visiting hcfcd.org/Kluge and click on the Submit a Comment button. Again, we appreciate you attending this meeting to learn more about our work. Information from this meeting and a recording of this live stream will be available on our website and YouTube channel. It's now time to hear your questions and comments. So I'll hand it back over to Robert to kick off the Q&A.
Thanks, Melissa. Before we move into Q&A, I just want to say we truly value your input. Your feedback helps shape this project and others happening across Harris County. As a reminder, you can drop your questions onto the Q&A feature tonight, using the Q&A feature while we're together tonight. We will do our best to answer every question. Please know that any question not addressed will receive a response after the meeting. Joining Melissa for Q&A is Ashley Pardo, the engineering project manager for this project. While we are waiting for questions to come in, and I see we already have a few, we want to acknowledge the important role that you play in helping keep our drainage network operating as designed. Flood control works best when residents are a part of it. Communities know when the stormwater isn't flowing right, when debris builds up, or when erosion starts after heavy rain. You're the true eyes on the ground. You can report issues directly to us at hcfcd.org/service-request or by calling 346-286-4197. We have expanded our FAST response program to help address the reported issues. And FAST stands for Fast Action Service Teams. These are the folks who respond when something urgent needs attention, such as a downed tree blocking a channel, erosion after a storm, or illegal dumping. They move fast, work safely, and get results residents can see. Now, it's time to take some of your questions. All right, our first question is for Ashley. Ashley, we know birds and other wildlife are often seen around the Kluge Stormwater Detention Basin and project area. Will you please share more about the wildlife in this area and the steps the Flood Control District takes to limit impacts during construction? Apologies, you may be having technical difficulties. Melissa, can you answer in Ashley's stead?
Sure. So the construction of Phase 3 is expected to have a minimal impact on wildlife living around and visiting the existing stormwater detention basins compartments. For the area where this basin is going to be constructed, we do follow industry standard mitigation measures and best practices to protect habitats during the construction period.
Right. Thank you. And our next question is for Ashley. Ashley, in Houston, mosquitoes are a common concern. We know standing water can be a mosquito breeding ground. Will a wet bottom stormwater detention basin cause the area to have more mosquitoes?
Hi, good evening, everyone. So yes, our engineers design stormwater detention basins, whether wet bottom or dry bottom, to naturally discourage mosquito breeding. Proper basin designs and maintenance limits mosquito breeding without the need for insecticide or compromised water quality. The science shows that mosquito larvae prefer to breed in stagnant water less than 3 feet deep, and this design is much greater than 3 feet. Basins also provide natural habitats for mosquito predators such as birds, fish, and dragonflies.
All right. Thanks, Ashley. Our next question is also for you, Ashley. Chris asks, where will the heavy equipment trucks enter and exit the work site? Oh, I'm sorry. That's my mistake. Melissa, that question is for you.
Yeah, we have one access that all trucks will be using, and they will be accessing off of Longwood Trace public right away.
All right. Thanks, Melissa. Our next question is for Ashley. Ashley, Timothy is asking, how close will the excavation come to this 50-inch easement? And what will the fence look like that you mentioned?
So it does go somewhat close, but it will be staying outside of the 50 buffer. So that is, we are maintaining that buffer. And then the fence is typically 6 feet tall. So it is a very visible fence. So they will be aware not to cross that 50% or that 50-foot buffer.
All right, thanks, Ashley. Our next question is for Melissa. Melissa, we have a similar question from Jim, Amy, John, and Carol. They want to know if there are plans to incorporate amenities on the property, such as a nature preserve, a park, or walking trails that will be aesthetically pleasing year-round.
Yeah, so the flood control district focuses our resources on flood risk reduction projects like stormwater detention basins. But we understand that residents in the area really appreciate the aesthetic of trees and native vegetation. And as we explained in the presentation, the design of the compartment maintains many trees around the perimeter of the compartment. Once construction is complete, our maintenance department will add this basin into its regular cycle of inspections to make sure that the compartment continually functions optimally year-round. And our maintenance department will also be mowing the property 3 times every year during growing season. And growing season runs from May to November. Right now, we do not have any plans to add any amenities to the property. As I mentioned earlier, we welcome the opportunity to partner with community groups and government agencies to add amenities to our property, but it can interfere with the function of our infrastructure, and the sponsoring group must maintain those amenities year-round. Any residents that are interested in having amenities added to the Kluge Stormwater Detention Basin should contact their homeowners association to discuss a potential partnership with the flood control district.
All right, thanks, Melissa. Our next question is for Ashley. Whoops, sorry about that. Ashley, another question we frequently receive from residents: how construction impact traffic in the area. Would you please explain what residents can expect?
Yes, we realize this is a concern for residents during construction. Once we enter the construction stage and have a contractor in place, we will let residents know of any traffic detours or closures. As mentioned earlier, we will keep the sidewalk along Longwood Trace and the tunnel under Longwood Trace open during construction. Construction is expected to begin in the third quarter of the year. As always, we will minimize the traffic impacts as much as possible, and we will communicate more details closer to the start of construction.
All right, thanks, Ashley. This next question is for Melissa. Melissa, we've received a few questions about future plans for developing the property on the west side of Little Cypress Creek. Will you please share what else is planned for the Kluge Stormwater Detention Basin?
Yep, a very good question. And yes, there are plans for a future phase. Harris County Flood Control does own that property on the west side of Little Cypress Creek, directly across the creek from this basin that we're talking about tonight. And the ultimate plans for the Kluge Stormwater Detention Basin do include a fourth compartment right in that area. And right now, we're just at the very beginning of the design stage for that compartment. Right now, we anticipate selecting an engineering consultant sometime next month and completing the design stage around May of 2027. So we'll keep the community updated on details as we move forward with that next phase.
All right, thanks, Melissa. And this next question is also for you. We have a question about signage and what measures will be taken to prevent unauthorized vehicles driving on the property and potentially disturbing residents.
This is also a good question that we get pretty frequently. The flood control district does install no trespassing signs on its property near major roads and intersections. And the signage also states that unauthorized vehicles and dumping are prohibited. If you do happen to see trespassing, we ask that residents contact law enforcement, but it's also helpful to notify us. You can report any issues to us directly by visiting our website at hcfcd.org /service-request, or by calling us at 346-286-4197.
All right, thanks, Melissa. Our next question is for Ashley. Ashley, we realize some residents access the existing stormwater detention basin area from Winmar Lane to go on walks around the basin. Will this area around the existing basin be accessible to residents during construction?
So during the construction of the Phase 3 compartment, residents will continue to have access to the existing compartment from Winmar Lane. And residents are urged, though, to respect all warning signs as construction crews move around the area and avoid the Phase 3 compartment construction zone at all times.
All right, thanks, Ashley. And this next question is also for you. John is asking, from which roads do you expect construction traffic, including dump trucks hauling away excavated dirt, to access the project site?
So they are going to access it off of Longwood. That's going to be the only entrance and exit point. So there will be right there on Longwood where they will be coming and exiting.
All right, thank you, Ashley. And then I just want to thank all of you for sending in questions. I just want to give a quick reminder that this meeting is for Phase 3 of the Kluge Stormwater Detention Basin. We are focused on answering questions related to this project specifically. Any questions not covered today will be addressed by the Flood Control District email after the meeting. Okay. Our next question is for Ashley. Ashley, Jim is asking has a question from Longwood homeowner / member of Longwood Golf Club. On the slide, trails and cart paths, you said tunnel under Longwood Trace remains open. Is that both tunnels, or are they above the flood designation improvements? And also, would concrete on gradients help water flow? By the way, there is a bald eagle's nest on hole number 1 of LGC.
So yes, the tunnel that goes underneath Longwood for the golf carts will remain open. And to answer in regards to, I don't know what the both tunnel, I know there is the existing one underneath Longwood. I'm not familiar with another tunnel, in the asterisk of both. And then as far as would concrete on grades help water flow, um, we are not looking at any concrete in this design in the basin, if that's in regard to that. And then the bald eagle's nest question, that is something environmental is very involved. So if we do bird nesting surveys, so if there is something that is seen like a bald eagle, it can stop the project and it will be notified by environmental. So we are monitoring that.
All right, thanks, Ashley. Our next question is from Melissa. Melissa, the 2018 bond program is an important part of our project funding, but some may not know that actually is and how it plays. Well, sorry. Some may not know what that actually is and how it plays a role in our work. Will you please share more about what it is, how residents can learn more about it?
Absolutely. As we shared earlier, the Flood Control District has several funding sources for our projects. And one of those funding sources is the 2018 bond program. So after Hurricane Harvey devastated the county, voters approved a $2.5 billion bond to help fund infrastructure improvements, such as constructing stormwater detention basins and completing channel conveyance improvement projects to help reduce the risk of flooding. Flood Control District has also worked with several federal, state, and local partners to secure an additional $2.7 billion to bring a total of $5.2 billion in program funding. We do have a live dashboard and an interactive map of all of the bond projects up on our website where you can go and find up-to-date information on all of our bond projects, funding, and project status. And we do encourage you to stay up to date by taking a look at our website, hcfcd.org/bond program for more details on that.
All right, thanks, Melissa. And this next question is also for you. Ted is asking, will there be an increased risk of flooding, particularly of roads, during construction?
Sure, there will not be an increased risk of flooding of the roads during construction. Every bit of dirt that the contractors start to take out will help improve flooding in the area. Additionally, our contractors do have to keep the roads clean, so there'll be best practices being used out there to make sure we don't have dirt and other things clogging up the road. They'll have sweepers and be keeping those areas clean.
All right, thanks, Melissa. Our next question is for Ashley. Ashley, Timothy asks, will the path that runs alongside existing Phase 1 basin still be walkable, or is the Phase 3 basin going to merge with the Phase 1 basin?
So the existing path that runs along Basin 1 should still be accessible, and we kind of touched on this a little bit, but anything as far as construction around the current design, the Basin 3, Compartment 3, will be inaccessible. But everything past design and all the phases should be available and all the paths available to all the public.
All right, thanks, Ashley. Our next question is for Melissa. Melissa, a resident is asking, will the Phase 3 detention part of the project be physically connected to the other 2 existing phases or be a separate pond?
Yeah, Phase 3 will be a separate pond from the other 2 basins, and it will be connected directly to the creek.
Okay, thank you very much. And our next question is for Ashley. Ashley is asking, if trucks are entering off of Longwood Trace, what will be done to reduce the amount of mud, debris, and road hazards from the neighborhood on a regular basis?
So there are mitigations that construction crews do to reduce the amount of dust and debris, and that is done daily and regularly. So that is constantly monitored.
All right, thank you, Ashley. Our next question is also for you, Ashley. Gabriel is asking, will only native vegetation be implemented in this project?
That's something we'd have to look into. I know there is a focus that we try to stay true to native vegetation because that's what obviously thrives in our climate in our area, but that is something we can look into after the construction of this basin.
All right, thank you very much, Ashley. And let's see, our next question is for Melissa. Melissa, John is asking, during the phase 3 construction, will residents be able to walk entirely around the existing basin?
The existing basin portions of it will be closed off, and the paths directly around Basin 3 will be closed down for everyone's safety.
All right, thanks.
And it just to add a little bit more onto that, the west side of the second compartment is the area that will be shut down during construction.
All right, thank you, Melissa. Our next question is for Ashley. Ashley, Jim asks, what is the water depth planned for the new basin?
So the permanent water depth, the water level that will always be existing will be 12 feet.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. And let's see, our next question is also for you. Ashley, Timothy is asking, any idea how many dump truck loads of earth have to be removed for this project?
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, the current estimation is around 130,000 trucks, where each dump truck carries approximately 10 cubic yards.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. And let's see, our next question. So we're waiting for a few more to come in. Yes, okay. So and this question is for either Melissa or Ashley, whichever of you want to prefer to answer. A resident states there are actually 2 tunnels under Longwood Trace that connect holes at the golf course. Would both tunnels stay open for the connection between golf holes? No other way to connect, so golf carts can do this.
We're only impacting one tunnel. So I believe both of them, the other one will remain open. But both of them will remain open.
Okay. Thank you, Melissa. This next question is also for you, by the way. Greg is asking, will the existing dirt path along the creek no longer be accessible after the project is completed?
Greg, let me look into that a little bit, because I am not 100% sure. I don't want to give you any incorrect information. So we'll be following up with you on that one.
All right. Thanks, Melissa. Our next question is for Ashley. Tom is asking, will the basin be stocked with fish?
I am not sure about that, but usually, to my understanding, that most of the time when you have these kind of depths, that wildlife tends to take over, so you will have fish in the basin.
Yeah, and just to add a little more to that, we do not stock any of our basins with fish, but by having a permanent water surface and a depth that we do, naturally fish will magically appear. I don't want to say magically, but birds tend to come to the water and they actually naturally transport fish eggs. And so we do expect fish eventually to be in the basins, but we do not stock them.
All right. Thanks, Melissa. And Ashley. So our next question is for Ashley. Ashley, Carol is asking, are we to understand that after full completion of this project, we will not have any walking paths?
So like that one illustration showed, anything where the design of the basin is going to be will be removed. So we're not removing any of the red areas. Now, if that's something future, I think that was also mentioned that that's something flood control does not do is create new paths unless there was an impact to it that we have to go back. But that's something we currently don't do, but that's something I would get with your HOA with, your precinct, and that's something we can look into in the future.
All right, thanks, Ashley. Our next question is for Melissa. Melissa, the primary funding source for Phase 3 is the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program. Since Phase 3 is currently anticipated to be complete after the CDBG disaster recovery deadline, can you please explain what steps are being taken to address this issue?
Yeah, thank you for this question because we do recognize that this might cause some confusion. We are very mindful of the deadline for this CDBG disaster recovery grant, and we are doing everything possible to expedite our processes so we can meet this deadline. We are in a very close communication with our funding partner at the GLO, and we will continue to work together with them as we move this project forward.
All right, thanks, Melissa. Our next question is for Ashley. Ashley, Timothy asks, will a detailed design be posted on the website?
I'll go ahead and answer that. We do not normally have detailed designs on our website, but if you have specific questions about the design, feel free to submit a question or comments through the website, and we'll be happy to answer any question you may have.
All right, thanks, Melissa. Our next question is for Ashley. Ashley, another feature residents enjoy are the wildflowers along the trails. Ashley, can you please share what will happen to the wildflowers in the project area?
So we know that wildflowers in the area have been enjoyed by the community. However, as construction begins, the golf cart path and existing wildflowers within the project area will be removed to allow the work to move forward. Wildflowers are important for supporting pollinators, improving soil health, and adding natural beauty, and we have value in those benefits. After construction is complete, our vegetation management team typically looks into opportunities to introduce wildflowers and other native vegetation around the project area to determine if it's a good candidate for the program.
All right, thanks, Ashley. Our next question, let's see. Our next question is also for you. Wait, sorry. Yes. Our next question is also for you, Ashley. We touched on the importance of trees for this community and for the flood control district. Can you share more about why some trees come close to the perimeter and will need to be removed? Ashley?
Yes. So, just a note, and I don't know if it was shared, but there will be some tree protective fencing around some of these areas. So there will be mitigations taken to preserve as many trees as possible. However, those trees that are really close to the basin, unfortunately, if their root systems are too close or in the basin design, they will die. So they will have to be removed if they're too close to the basin.
All right. Thank you, Ashley. Our next question is for Melissa. Melissa, where will the excavated material be disposed?
This is, excuse me. This is also a really good question that we get frequently. Right now, we do not know because we do not have a contractor on board. But once we have a contractor on board after we received bids, one of the first submittals that contractor will be required to submit to us is where the excavated material is going to be disposed of. So they'll have to send us multiple documents that we'll have to review and approve. We have to make sure that the site where they're taking that material is approved on through all of our environmental regulations. We need to make sure that we're not impacting wetlands, habitats, endangered species, things like that. And we also need to make sure that excavated material is also going to be completely outside the 100-year and 500-year floodplain. So we won't have that answer until we have a contractor on board.
All right, thanks, Melissa. Melissa, if you can answer this last question for us. Greg is asking, once the project is completed, will residents be able to walk around the detention pond even without trails?
Yeah, we really ask that residents do not walk around the basin without trails. And the reason for that is because it can ultimately, tear up the grasses in the area, and that can cause us problems later on with erosion. So we ask you to please stick to the trails. Once a trail is built out there, if it is in the future, please use it. But in the meantime, we ask that you just stick to paved areas. So thank you for that question.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. And with that, I would like to thank everyone again for joining us and being a part of this important conversation. If you think of questions or comments later, or if you're watching this on replay and have something you would like to add, please submit a comment on the Flood Control District's website at hcfcd.org/Kluge. We will continuously share updates on this project as our work moves forward. So sign up for updates on our website and follow us on social media to stay up to date on what we're doing in your neighborhood and beyond. Thank you, stay safe, and have a great evening.